my name is Ashley Norris, and I'm applying for the Missions and Communications Specialist. And here's a little bit of my testimony. I had always been raised in church, and I got saved when I was probably about 3rd grade, so pretty young. And I'd always been a good girl, tried to live my life for God, or so I thought. In 2012, my cousin Jordan, she got really sick, and she'd been in the hospital for probably about a couple of weeks, and all these doctors were coming in telling us that this is what's wrong with her and this is what she needs to do, and she just kept getting worse. The more treatment she got, the worse she got. And she'd probably been in there for about 2 months, and she wasn't getting any better, and it was tearing our family apart. We were just tired. It took a toll on us mentally, spiritually, and physically. We'd been in the hospital sitting in there day in and day out, just hoping she would get better, and she just never did. And one night she was going in and out of consciousness, and I remember sitting by her bed, just bargaining with God, like, God, if you heal her, then I will do whatever you want me to. I will be the best Christian I can be. I will tell everyone about God. I will just serve you as much as I can. And that's kind of when I realized, like, I wasn't saved. I was going through the motions. I was just being the Christian girl. Like, everyone had knew I was raised in church. Everybody knew I went to church, and I was always a good girl. And that's just the max it went to. It was never went any further. And that night, I decided I was going to rededicate my life, and that I was going to be the light for God, that it was going to shine through me, and everyone would be able to see it. And so that's what I did. And I'd always knew that missions had a huge part in my life. I'd always knew that, like, that was a place in my heart, and it just needed to get bigger, because when I was a little girl in church, one day a lady, she came back from a mission trip from the Philippines, and she was talking about it, and she just kept feeding us and feeding us, and I was sitting on the edge of my seat, and I was just listening. I was so in tune, and I remember looking at my mom and being like, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to do missions. Like, that's what I want to do. And I couldn't really go overseas, because I was so young. And so I started out doing World Changers. And I've been to 5 World Changers. And I fell in love. Like, I love World Changers, and it has a huge place in my heart, and it had a huge impact on my life. That's where I realized what my spiritual gift was. My spiritual gift is service. And I found that out because, like, getting off at the job sites, I was never the first one to just jump off the bus and, like, run to the house and just start telling about God and everything. I was the one to just get off the bus and ask, like, what needs to be done today? Like, what can I do to help? And I was always the one, first one up the ladder, first one with the paintbrush, and that's just what I did, because that was my personality. I was just always the one to work, and not really just knock on doors. That wasn't really my personality. But this past May, I went to Madagascar. Finally got to go to my out-of-country mission trip, like I'd always knew I wanted to do. And that's really opened me up, and that's when I really found, like, missions is, I am missions. Like, I love missions. And I found that, like, that's where I belong. Like, I started sharing God's word. Like, once I got there, I started sharing God's word, and that wasn't me. And everybody was like, "Who is this girl?" Like, I'd always just been the one to do the behind the scenes stuff. And so that really opened me up to sharing and talking in front of people a lot, and just overall just living for God, letting my light shine. And one night we were praying for all the people in Madagascar, because we found out that one of the little girls that had touched our heart so much, she's probably about 8 years old, she was going to be sold into like human trafficking, and it just broke our hearts, because she was so beautiful and such a beautiful soul, and we just were all tore up. Like, we were ready to take her home with us. So that night, no one could sleep. we prayed for her constantly. And I remember laying in bed because it was well past like 3 a.m. I just remember going straight to bed and I could not sleep, couldn't close my eyes. But I remember like this, like not dozing off, but it felt like I was in a dream, but I knew I wasn't. But I remember standing in front of people, just sharing God's word, and I knew it was World Changers when I like came out of the vision, because it had like World Changers is such a huge place in my heart, and I'd always like really knew that I wanted to do something with it. And so that was like a confirmation, like that is what you're like meant to do. And so I remember like going home and telling my mom about it, and she was like, "Ashley, that's awesome. Like, I'm so glad like you have that figured out. Like, 'cause I was so confused about what I wanted to do, but I realized like that's what I want to do. That was my vision from God, and so I just want to help others learn more about God, and help others. Like World Changers has helped me find who I was, find my spiritual gift, and just find overall happiness. Like that's, I just can't have words to describe it. And so I want to shine my light through World Changers and just help everyone I can. Thank you for your consideration.